Now, this is a more advanced script, a more advanced presentation. Pretty much is going to eliminate the computer and you're going to be able to sell withdrawing with a piece of paper. Okay? Now, it's the same thing. You want to do the introduction word by word, same thing. Give the no cost benefits, same thing. Culture, no cost benefits, all three of them, same thing. You're going to call the referrals in the home so you can try to book it, same thing. After that, after you try to call the referrals from the house, everything changes. Okay? Or the part where you go into, now this next video is going to talk about the different needs for insurance purposes, which is why everyone has a different need and a different why. I don't do that anymore. Okay? That's where our CPR comes in. CPR. The transition to life insurance is replaced by CPR. Cut the wound, pour salt on the wound, and remedy. Okay? So, just like the script I wrote, it says right there. Okay, so the next, this is the last part of the program, which is what the police union wants us to do. It revolves around life insurance. They know when someone dies in the community, they don't have any life insurance, they don't have any plots, they don't have any money. Let me ask you, do you know anyone that has passed away in the last 5 or 10 years? And you get, it's the same thing in the script. The point is for you to pull their heartstrings. Make them, if you can make them cry, shoot, even better. I'll pay you if you can't sell it, if you make them cry. As long as they qualify. Okay? The point is, you want to get them to the point that, you know, that's what it's called CPR. You cut the wound, you're exposing the need, and then you pouring salt in the wound. Pull their heartstrings. Make them feel like if they don't, like they need this, or their family is done. And then you give them the remedy. You show them how you can solve their problems by a product that we sell. And it's called life insurance. Okay? Now, do the same thing, and then in the needs analysis, that's when you want to type down their name, their information, and it's going to show you what the price is for each product. Okay, so you're able to put down, you can edit, put 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, and so on, and you're able to edit the product. That way you know how much it's going to cost. Okay, once you have that down, you're able to set the computer on the side. Okay, and you get a notepad. And you want to make sure it faces you and the client. Faces you and the client. Okay? For this specific scenario, I'm going to have the camera come across so you can see what I draw when I'm with the client. Okay? So I start off with saying to them, what do you know? I'm going to be too loud. Sorry. So you can start off with, so can you turn the light on? Great. So I'm gonna start off with, so what do you know about life insurance? And I don't care what they know. I give 2 F's what they know about life insurance. Whatever they know is wrong. And if they know something, perfect. That means it's going to move even smoother. Okay? So I let them talk for whatever, 1, 2, 3 minutes. Then I'm like, okay, so let me explain how life insurance works. Okay? So when you purchase a life insurance, you have to make a decision between 2. There's only 2. You have term and you have whole. That's it. You have term life and whole life when you purchase life insurance. Now, they're both the same. I mean, they both work. They're both good because they both will pay your family when you pass away. The difference is how they work. Term, pretty much you're renting out an insurance. Whole, you own the insurance. Let me ask you, you guys rent here, right? Okay, what happens to your rent every year? It goes up. Exactly. It works the same rate. Rent and own. Okay, with rent, you pay very little a month. It is very inexpensive compared to whole, and you'll find out why later. So it's very cheap. Okay, for a little bit of money, you can get a lot of coverage. Really big policies. The only thing, it's not forever. You can only get policies like that, a term, for either 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Okay, or till age 65 or 70. That's it. So let me ask you, Jasmine. Right now, you're 25 years old. Okay, if you get a 10-year policy, you will only be covered for 10 years. That means if you do not die within those 10 years, your family will not receive the money. After 10 years are over, the company will not give you your money back because you didn't pass away. It's like a service, just like your car insurance. If you have it for 10 years and if you cancel your policy, you guys into 0 accidents, you're not going to get anything back. Okay? That's the way it works. It's only for 10, 20, 30 years or till 65 or 70. Now, after 10 years are over, Jasmine, you're more than welcome to renew it. Okay? However, it will be more expensive because you're no longer going to be 25. You're going to be 35. So you're going to be paying as of 35 years old. That's why when it comes to both insurances, your age and your health matters a lot. The older you are and you get a life insurance, the more expensive it becomes. If you're not healthy, you don't qualify. And if you qualify with health issues, it becomes more expensive. Okay? So this will always go up. Now, here in the United States, only 1% of everyone that has a term insurance, only 1% actually gets to see the payout, the benefit. Because everyone either outlives it, they get older than 75, older than 60 or 70 years old, or it becomes too expensive to maintain. Now, after 65 or after 70, most likely you are able to keep the life insurance, but you're going to keep renewing it for a year. Every year, you're going to have to renew it. And you're looking at prices between a couple hundreds to a couple $1,000s every month, which is expensive, right? That's why everyone cancels it, because they outlive it or it becomes too expensive to maintain, which is why only 1% of it pays out. Okay? Now, everything that you get through work will always be term, because it's a group life insurance, meaning it's only while you're working there. Once you retire, you don't get to keep it. You got to start from the beginning, just like your health insurance. Now, there are huge companies that you will see that only offer term. Everything that you're going to get through your mail from AARP is all term. Everything you get through Globe Life is all term. Everything you're going to get through Primerica, it's all going to be term insurance only. Okay? Those are term insurance companies only, 100% term. Okay? Now, we also do term, by the way, just letting you know. That's pretty much how term works. It is temporarily, which is where the word term comes out because it will terminate eventually. And that's it. Got it? Perfect. It all makes sense? Great. Now, whole, you also pay for it monthly. And it's also for a large sum of coverage. The good thing is that with this one, you never had to worry about getting older or developing some type of health conditions in the future. You can actually keep this for the rest of your life, unless you reach over the age of 120 years old, which no one does, right? Yeah, and that's what it's called, whole life, because you can keep it for the rest of your whole life. So right now you're 25, right? Well, you're 25 and your husband Robert is 26. Okay, so let's take you, Jasmine. So you're 25 years old. Okay, that's where it's gonna lock in forever. What that means is if you can be 40 years old, you can be 60. You know what? You can be even 100 years old, and you're still going to be paying as if you were 25 for the rest of your life. So pretty sweet, huh? Locks it in. Now you're in good health. It will also lock in your health. God forbid you develop diabetes, cancer, or dialysis in the future, the company cannot take away your insurance. They cannot increase your payments because you lock it in at the current health that you have. Isn't that great? Exactly. That's pretty much the way it works. That's the main difference. Term is temporarily, like you're renting. Whole, you can keep it forever for the rest of your whole life because you own it. Now, whole does have an additional feature that it does do to help their clients out, and this is what it does. If you have a whole life, after you keep the policy for minimum 2 or 3 years, you're gonna start accumulating a percentage of money on the side. Okay, that percentage of money is called cash value. Some people call it a savings account, a credit account, but it's called cash value. The longer you keep the policy, the more money you're gonna start to accumulate on the side. Okay, now take notes. This is not your money. You're not paying for this extra feature. It just happens to do that because it does try to help you out. And this is how it helps you out. If you ever have an emergency and you need money, people usually run to the bank. However, they have to deal with huge interest rates. With this one, if you have an emergency and you need to borrow money, you can use that money as a loan. Okay? You can use that money. We don't check your credit score or nothing like that. we'll give you. If you have money in it, you can use it. You can use it as a loan as long as you pay it back. If you don't pay it back, that's fine. We'll just deduct it from your overall coverage. Make sense? Perfect. The second option you're able to do, which we don't recommend, is called cash out. What that means is, let's say in the near future, or in 20 years, you win the lottery. So if you win the lottery, you're probably not going to need the life insurance. So if you cancel the policy, the company will give you all of your cash value back. And that'll be tax free. They'll give you all the cash value that you built. Now, is it every payment that you make? It is not. It's a percentage after 2 or 3 years that accumulates. But at least it's better than nothing, unlike the term. Okay? The third option, which is what most people do, is called reduce paid up insurance. Okay? What reduce paid up insurance means is typically people do the third option between the ages of 65 and 75. Those are pretty much retirement ages. Now, when someone retires, you live in a fixed income. The last thing you want to do is pay another bill. So what we do is when you put reduced paid up insurance, we're going to use your cash value and we're going to use some of your coverage to pay for the policy for the remaining years that you have. So, for example, let's say you're covered for 100,000. Your new coverage could be 95, 80, or even 75,000. However, from that point on, you no longer send a payment. You get to keep the life insurance. You get to keep our benefits, our protection. You get to keep our help, but you no longer pay for your life insurance. Now, that's what most people do at retirement age. You're more than welcome to do it before. We'll just use more of your coverage. Does that make sense? Perfect. That's the only difference. Term and whole. Term, it is very cheap, but it's not gonna last you forever. Whole, you own it. It gives you peace of mind. Peace of mind and security, knowing that if you pass away tomorrow, 50 years and 100 years, you will always have someone, the life insurance, your family will always receive the payment. Okay. Now, some companies only have whole or they only have term, like this ones. We actually have both because we let the client decide what works better for their family, either renting a term or owning a whole. So let me ask you, what works better for your family to start with a term or with a whole? With a whole? Perfect. I agree with you with a whole life. Okay. Now, based on the whole life, there's a couple things that I recommend. Okay. Can you hold it for a second? Perfect. Now, based on that, since you do say a whole life for both you and Robert, you're 25 years old, Robert's 28. So, let's put a whole life right here. The first recommend is an executive plan. An executive plan means that both you and Robert will be covered for $150,000 of whole life insurance. Okay? Now remember, whole life in both terms, in this case, whole life, that will always pay out no matter if you pass away due to an accident, due to health conditions, cancer, diabetes, old age. It will always pay out 100% of the time. Okay, perfect. So they recommend an executive plan that covers both you and Robert for $150,000. Okay. They'll also recommend a preferred plan that will cover both you, Robert, and Jasmine for $100,000 of whole life insurance. Okay. They also recommend a basic plan. The basic plan covers each for $50,000 of whole life insurance. Does that make sense? Great. Now, statistically speaking, you guys are young and healthy, okay? You're going to pass away due to an accident if you do pass away in the near future, especially because you live in Southern California. So we want to make sure we recommend an additional accidental coverage. Okay? It is for accidental death. Okay? The accidental death means we're gonna always pay this, but we're gonna pay an additional sum of money to help protect your family even more. Now, either you or your husband, either you, Robert, or Jasmine, if you guys pass away due to any type of accident, which can include at work or outside of work, even someone kills you, you fall down the stairs, you fall down the roof or in your bathroom, and you break your head and you die, that's considered an accident. You pass away there, for both you and Jasmine each will have an additional $120,000 of coverage that we will pay out on top of the $50,000, on top of the $100, and on top of the $150. Does that make sense? Great. So, if Robert passes away and you guys have $150, we're gonna give you, Jasmine, $150 plus an additional $120,000 because it was an accident. Okay. Now, if you guys don't die, but you get dismembered because of that accident and you lose your side of one eye or your leg or your arm, the company will pay you $10,000. It's not a lot, but it does help out, especially if you get dismembered. $10,000. Okay, each, both you and Robert have that. Okay. Now, if you pass away due to an automobile accident, which is the number one cause of death, if you pass away there either as a driver or as a passenger, each is gonna have this. Each will be protected for an additional $140,000 of coverage on top of the 50, on top of the 100, on top of the 150. Okay? You guys get dismembered, lose your legs or side of one eye, we'll pay $20,000 for dismemberment. Okay? Now, I've seen this happen a lot. Let's say both you, Robert and Jasmine, you guys are both in the same car. You guys are going somewhere and you pass away together. Your second beneficiary, for example, could be your parents. If you guys are 150, your parents will receive 150 plus 150 plus 140 plus 140 because each, both you and Jasmine, have this coverage. Does that make sense? Great. Now, do you guys use public transportation like a taxi, boat, or bus? You guys fly? Okay. Now that will go under common carrier. What common carrier means is if you need to pay to transport yourself, for example, taxi, boat, ferry, airplane, subway, if you pass away there, we're going to pay your family an additional $160,000 each on top of the 50, 100, 150. If you guys get dismembered, we'll pay $30,000 for dismemberment. Does that make sense? Great. Now we know if you do get into an accident, you're not always going to die. I mean, hopefully you don't die. Okay? But we know you're going to end up in the hospital. This is where we come in. So, we have a program, hospitalization, because of an accident. Okay. Now, if you do end up in the hospital because of an accident, we're gonna pay you because you're probably gonna lose a day of work, and no one's gonna pay you for that. Okay. Now, if either one of you has any type of accident and you end up in the hospital and you're confined to the hospital, we'll pay $200 per day that you're confined to the hospital. That's for a max of 365 days. So if you, Robert, you get hurt, you're confined to the hospital for 3 days, we're going to send you a check for $600. Your health insurance pays the hospital. We pay you directly $600 because you're in the 3 days. That check is under your name. All we ask is proof that you were in the hospital, of course. Okay? If it's a really bad accident and you end up in the ICU, most car accidents are tied to the ICU. We double it. We pay $400 for every day that you're confined in there. That's for a max of 14 days. On day number 15, we don't stop paying. It goes back to $200. Most people in the ICU only last a couple of days. After it lasts a couple of days, they'll transfer you to the regular room. But let's say you're in there for 2 days. That's $800 under your name. Definitely could pay some rent. Does that make sense? Great. We also have for the emergency room. How much is your copay if you go to the emergency room? $50? Okay, so there's a good plan. If you or Jasmine have an accident and you have to go to the emergency room, we're going to pay $100 per every visit that you go to the emergency room. And that's for unlimited visits. So let's say you, Jasmine, you're cooking or you burn your hand while cooking or something happens which you're working with a hammer and you hit your hand. That's an accident. Go to the emergency room. Pay your copay. We're going to reimburse $100 for unlimited time. So if you're in there 7 days a week, we're going to pay 7 days a week. I mean, hopefully you're not in there 7 days a week, of course, because something might be wrong with you. However, we do help you out. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now, once you leave the hospital, you're gonna probably want to recuperate at home. Okay, this is where this comes in. Oh, sorry, that will be later on. Okay, now that's how that works. Okay, this is if you pass away due to health conditions, but if it's an accident, it will be this plus depending on the accident. If you end up in the hospital, we pay you for every day you're confined in there due to an accident. Does all of this make sense? Great. Now the company also gives you additional benefits. Okay, for additional. Okay. Company gives you additional benefits. The first additional benefit, it is called a layoff waiver. What the layoff waiver means is if you get laid off of work, we're gonna pay your life insurance for up to 3 months without you ever having to pay us back. That's if you get laid off though, not if you got fired. Those are two different things. The second thing is a strike waiver. Now this is only if you're part of a union. Right now you guys are not part of a union, but you can still have this. What that means is if in the future you join a union and you participate in a union strike, we're able to pay your life insurance for up to 12 months, the whole year, without you ever having to pay us back. Okay. Next, you have is a terminal illness rider. What a terminal illness rider means is if you have less than 12 months to live, you're diagnosed with terminal illness. If you have less than 12 months to live, we advance you 50% of your whole life up front. So let's say you have 100, you have less than a year to live. The company will advance you $50,000, and the other $50,000 once you pass away. So I'm pretty sure if you have less than 1 year to live, the last thing you want to do is go to work. This is going to replace your income. Make sense? Great. Fourth one benefits they give you is a waiver of premium. Now this is important. What the waiver of premium means is if you get disabled, let's say you're temporarily disabled or permanently disabled, for the first 6 months, okay, this is what this contains. So recuperation benefit. For the first 6 months, we're gonna pay you $400 a month for the first 6 months. If you are, let's say, temporarily disabled, okay, for the first 6 months, we're going to pay you $400. That's enough to pay the policy and also pay your bills if you have any left over. Pretty much, we're going to pay your policy and give you a little extra for the first 6 months. After 6 months, if you continue to be disabled, either permanently or temporarily, we're going to reimburse all the 6 months that you paid for the policy. We're going to reimburse your premiums. That's called waiver your premiums. We're going to waive your premiums. We're going to reimburse the last 6 months that you paid. And then from that point on, we pay for the life insurance. We take care of the life insurance. You don't have to pay. If it's temporarily disability, and then you're only there for 2 years, we pay for 2 years. Once you are able to go back to work, that's when you can continue paying for the policy. But if you're permanently disabled, we pay for the policy for the rest of your life. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I know. It's a great program to have. Knowing that something happens to you, especially because you drive a lot and the type of work you do, construction, it's hard, man. And a lot of people have problems with their back. So if you get disabled, we are able to pay the policy for you. And if it's a long-term disability, we take care of it forever. Okay? Fifth thing it recommends or gives you is called a Head Start program. What the Head Start program means is that your child, both of your children, will have $25,000 of whole life insurance, meaning you are able to lock in their current age and rate for a whole life insurance for $25,000. Your daughter is 10 years old right now. She's going to have $25,000 of whole life insurance locked in at the age of 10. Same concept as the whole life. When she turns 40, 60, or 100 years old, if you want to transfer the payment to her, she's still going to be paying only $10 because you're able to lock it in now. Make sense? Perfect. The last benefit that it gives you, pay attention. This is really important. It's called your freedom of choice. Okay? This is hugely important. Okay? This is this certificate right here. We are the only company in the United States that has this certificate, which is one of the many reasons why we work a lot with union members, like the police union and the teachers union. The way this works, it's like a blank check pretty much. And I'm going to explain. Now, typically when someone dies and they have life insurance, the life insurance will pay them, but it generally takes about 5 weeks to 8 weeks because they have to wait for the death certificate, they have to wait for, proof of death and the paperwork. So it does take 5 to 8 weeks. So what the family does, they have to go get a loan from the bank, pay the funeral, wait till the life insurance pays them back so they can pay the bank. But with interest rates, it's a really bad thing. With this, you don't have to do this. You can take this to any funeral home or cremation services that you want. They say right here, Albert, I forgot his name, David, passes away. Let's say David passes away. You're able to take this to any funeral home. Here in California and New York, doesn't matter where it is, you're able to take this to any funeral. You're going to simply ask the funeral director, how much is my husband's funeral going to be? Everything included. The plot, the services, everything. Okay, he's going to tell you, okay, based on everything, it's going to be $20,000. Okay. What you do is you're going to put $20,000 right here. You're going to sign it as a beneficiary. You're going to hand this to the funeral director. The funeral director then is going to call this number to speak with us. And then we're going to wire him the check within 48 hours. So we literally pay the funeral up front. We wire him the check within 48 hours. You don't have to wait 5 to 8 weeks. Okay? The remaining balance, we just give you a lump check like that. So let's say you have $100,000 and your husband's funeral only costs $30,000. The remaining $70,000 we're going to give it to you. If you pass away to an accident, it will be $70,000 plus depending on the type of accident. Okay? So this we're able to pay right away. That way you don't have to deal with the funeral and the paperwork. The only thing we tell you though is you pass away, do not let the funeral director know that you have life insurance. Because when someone dies, the first question they ask is, do you have life insurance? Always tell them no. Because if you tell them yes, they will increase how much everything is because they just want to get more money from you. What you're supposed to do is literally tell them no, you don't have life insurance, so they can try to work with you. And once they give you the quote and everything on paper, not on word, but on paper, then you bring this out. You know what? It turns out that he did have a life insurance. I would like to use this to pay for everything. At that point, this is pretty much a compliant check. Does that make sense? Yes. So this is really valuable. We're the only company that has this. That freedom of choice, it's attached to the whole life. So we're able to pay upfront based on the whole life. And your children were also able to pay upfront because they will also have a whole life. Okay? Does all of these make sense? Everything makes sense? Everything makes sense, Robert? Everything makes sense, Jasmine? Okay. Do you guys have any questions on this? Anything? No? Just how much it's going to be? Okay, let me show you. Okay. Now this is pretty much, you're going to open your computer again, guys, and it's going to show you the prices. So let me do it real quick. Okay, whatever. Just pretend it has the prices right there. Oh my God. Okay, I mean this page. Once you have everyone in here, you're able to manipulate. You're able to change the numbers. You're able to put 50,000. You're able to add accidental death benefit. And you want to add 3071. And so on and so on. You're able to have the numbers. When you have the numbers, you write it down, and you pretty much go back to here. Okay, so what it comes down to is if you want to start with the executive plan, that one is $174.98. If you want to start with the preferred plan, that one is $145.20. The basic plan That one comes down to 103.10. Okay. The good thing about that is that all of those plans, executive, preferred, and basic, if you choose the executive, that one comes with the accidental death benefit. The preferred also comes with those. The basic also comes with those. So all of those, each of them includes the accidental death, includes the hospitalization, and the additional benefits that comes with with the freedom of choice, and your children are protected with their own whole life insurance. Now, based on those options, which option do you guys works better for you and you want to go ahead and start with today to protect your family? And that's pretty much it, guys. Don't stop it. Now, one thing, you can look at me. Now, that's pretty much it. You're gonna choose something. Now, here's the key. Okay. Now, this is out of context already. Go back in here. Now, you gotta remember, your goal is for them to choose a prefer, the middle one. Okay. Now, if they choose the executive one, even better. Regardless of which one they choose, you want to make sure that it is affordable, because at this point you are showing big numbers. Don't be scared. A lot of people always get this one or this one. Now, regardless of say they get this one or this one, I always say, okay, you know what, Jasmine and Robert, I'm glad you see the value. Now, one thing I do want you guys to know is that you invited me to your house as a stranger. I want to make sure I leave as a friend. We want to make sure that this is affordable. You know, we want to make sure you can do this every single month, because there's no point if you can do this for 6 months and in the 7th month you can't afford it. At that point, we're no longer helping you, we're hurting you. Now, let me ask you, it's $145, something that you guys are able to do every month, and it won't cost you to go bankrupt or live in the street? No? Okay, perfect. So all I need is a voided check and your driver's license. Now, guys, you gotta take notes. That's how you're supposed to do it. So you want to make sure this is affordable. You do not want to charge back. They're not pretty at all. Now, here's something that I learned. If they choose the basic plan, that's a warning flag. Okay? If they choose the basic plan, that is a warning flag. That's either going to tell you that this might be too pricey. They love the value because you're able to sell them on emotion. They want to protect your family. But if they choose the basic plan, it might be affordable and it might go lapse in a couple months. Now, if they do choose the basic plan, what I say after that is, if they do choose that, I say, okay, I'm glad you're able to see the value. Now, same thing, you invited me to your house as a stranger. I want to leave as a friend. We want to make sure it's affordable, because if you can't do this in 6 months or in 7 months or in 2 years, there's no point of it. And I say, you know what, Jasmine and Robert, we want to make sure this is affordable. We do have some economic plans if you also want to take a look at that. Do you want to look at that? You ask them if they want to see the economic plans. Okay, now if they say yes, that's another sign that, yeah, you are overselling them. So if they say, you know what, yeah, let's take a look at the economic plan, I'm going to show them 2 other options. So I'm going to write economic plan. Okay, Robert and Jasmine. So the economic plan, they recommend 2. So for the economic plans, we have 30,000 and we have 20,000 each. Okay, the 30,000, that one is $87.20. The 20,000, it's $79.41. The good thing about those economic plans is what? They also include the accidental death benefit, the hospitalization benefit, and the additional benefits, which also keeps your children at $25,000 a full life and a freedom of choice. Now, based on those economic packages, is 130 still you want to start with, or do you want to start with an economic packages? Because remember, you are always able to upgrade. Okay. Now, at this point, the reason I showed them 2 options is because my goal is for them to choose the middle one. If they choose the middle one, they had the opportunity to choose the lower one, but they didn't. That means they are able to afford this. If they choose the middle one, same thing. You want to make sure this is affordable. You invited me to your house as a stranger. I want to leave as a friend. It is something you are able to do. Okay. Now, if they choose the lower one again, if they choose this one, the lower one, that's a big sign saying that, yeah, you are probably overselling them. If they choose the lower one, tell them, you know what, we want to make sure it's affordable. Is this something you are able to do? Because we also have a $15,000 plan. That $15,000 plan is $63.10. At that point, they're going to be like, you know what, no, 20,000 is something we can do, or 30,000. And your goal is to always pick the middle. Okay? If you go lower than that, then you might have to lower this number too because you're selling them too much. Okay. Now sometimes, yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes $63 it is a lot of money. At that point, what you can do is you can switch a head start to a child rider, and you can reduce you can remove the A71, or you can just lower the ADB to 50,000 instead of 100,000. Okay, now I have gone through this point where I sold them 63, and they're like, no, you know what, we can do 79, we can do the 20,000. And at that point, I know that they can do it because if there was really something they couldn't afford, they would always choose the little one. But the goal is to always get the middle one. Now, up front, if they choose the big one, then you got to make sure it's affordable. And if it is, those are nice AOP. And again, number one thing, you got to make sure that whatever you sell them, it's affordable. Because it doesn't matter how much business you can write. What matters is how much business you can write and keep in the books, because those are your renewals. Okay, this is pretty much how you sell. This right here is called, we call it the T closing, because it is a letter T. It's going to determine whole. This has whole life, has ADB, has A71, and additional benefits. It makes it look a lot sexier, a lot beautiful. Okay, that's pretty much it, guys.